Welcome to my new series. I'm using the Movement Lesson laser series, my laser. This is the home device. I want to start working on my video protocols, or I am starting to, for core movement integrations. And I just want to show you how I'm going to be using the laser-based series with Movement Lesson. Now, Movement Lesson is absolutely fine on its own. I just find when people are working with cellular reconstruction, various points of lasers do come into play with optimal health, let's say, or for various needs that people are using. So whether you're doing the laser or not, Movement Lesson still applies. The lasers are just, in a sense, enhancing or changing that. So one of the big things I'm about is a functional midline. So let's say if your child hasn't gone into AT&R, there's issues with the scapulas. AT&R, most people consider a reflex, but AT&R, what it really does, and there's other videos on that to explain it, but it's the first time you have upper thorax or spinal articulation, meaning this is the part where your spine's going to start moving and opening up. How that happens, though, is that, quote, fencer pose. What it's really doing is you're pushing against gravity in a horizontal position, and that opens up the scapula. As you and I know, we cannot tighten these muscles. We can't, quote, loosen these muscles. They're there for almost like an airplane rudder, and it will open up, but at the same time now will pull the spine over. And that's where you start seeing where the spine can start swaying. It's not meant to do that when you come out of the womb, because otherwise a baby would get stuck. You don't want spinal articulation or spinal movement in that way of individual vertebrae. However, when I can start moving my scapulas in that pose, and that's why it's meant to go asymmetrical as it goes in and out. Again, that's on another video. The link is below. So let's say I'm using the laser, and we're going to use Frank just so you can see the anatomy base. I'll be doing the whole series on a person as well as skeletal. You don't need to know anatomy. The basic thing that you're coming under is the region of the neck. And all I'm looking to do is I'm coming underneath the system. I'm around the scapula. And you'll adjust your hands for your munchkin if you're working on children. And all I'm doing here is just approximating and doing a light touch, trying to get each one, what these are called processes, to cross midline. Movement Lesson is about midline functions around the body, and that's involved in the laser protocol. But your touch is just like this. I'm not pressing. I'm just using that. And at the same time, you're just using your laser to start working on the beginnings of that protocol. So notice that I'm working with the scapula on this. Again, just as a sort of a suggestion, my intention is the spine. It's not a force. And I'm just using that. And so what's happening actually is what you're starting to get at is the laser actually is in between the structure of the spine and the scapula on the other side. And that's what we're working on is opening up the muscles and the movement, I should say, within on the other part of the spine. Now, I also use, if you need a nice little, depending on the size of the person, bean bags that you can come in and work on it, especially too if, let's say, you wanted to work on the upper quadrant, and you're just going to set up, and then you're doing the same movement. But for the sake of the video, you can't really see my hand position. So this is how you would work with your laser on the upper position. Obviously, you can closen that up to that person, just to give you a good idea of really for hand placement and technique placement. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.